They made it too spaghetti-like.
And then even the strands turned into smoke.
That's their only chance.
Their faces.
That suit didn't
Look
do
at
diddly.
Owen Wilson in the background.
Look at his Lego hands.
Wow. Where is he?
Oh, I need to get back to my job at McDonald's. Obi's like, I called it too accurately.
On top of spaghetti.
All covered in blood.
I lost my poor Kang very
Timely.
I guess he wasn't a god.
Oh.
It's the Millennium Falcon.
Look at this.
This is very end of Lamentus, end of days kind of feel as well.
My god.
And they can't even use the temp pad, can they?
No, where do you go if the TVA blows up?
A poor B-15.
You wake
She's
up in a
seen
flurkin.
some shit.
Yeah. Look how green his eyes are.
They
Like
really
a
are
cat.
beautiful eyes.
He's got the best eyes. Oh, the pain. What?
It's over!
It's over.
Well,
Game over, man.
They should have had no credits for this. I know that's probably
Oh yeah, no
illegal.
credits. Just like just
Oh, that's
Disney
actually-
Plus stream-ins. Welcome back to the break room. Loki episode 4 brings this season full circles. We finally got confirmation that it was in fact Loki proving himself, and also the caller not as interesting of an answer.
I
so it's a
actually
question.
love that anticlimactic
Me too,
moment.
me
It was
too.
such an ominous thing. The angle of the camera on the phone, and he's like, "You need to hurry up."
Yeah.
What
Look,
took you so long?
Yeah, I thought
it was a
great.
small enough question that I was okay with a small answer because it seems like they have other big mysteries in place and they did a great job
For
with
sure.
the ending. What a cliffhanger.
For
Because we have the possible demise of Victor Timely, the rising stock of OB. Let's unpack this very eventful episode. This is Inside Marvel, New Rockstars weekly Marvel reaction show. I'm Erik Voss. Here with me is Maude, Garrett, and Tommy Bechtold. Oh yeah.
Whoa, that's sexy.
I need some glasses.
Sorry, your eyes
Variant
work.
Eric's got glasses.
You need to get glasses as thick as ours. Look at these things. You could melt. You could break a timeline up with this thing.
So hold on, do you guys think this is the best episode or nah?
I don't know if this tops season 1, episode 6 for me. I think For All Time Always, I think it's so impressive when you can pull off just characters in a room talking for
The
50
whole
minutes.
episode, yeah.
Yeah, and this episode had more action going on with it. I mean, like, this was largely, though, people in rooms talking. So this is up there for me. This
I mean,
might
we're
be top
back into
3.
the pie room, which the last time we were in the pie room, that went on forever in episode 2. This, I think, had a little bit more,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, we had one of my favorite homages ever to Back to the Future. Even, like, I was like, oh, it's kind of like Back to the Future. And I'm like, oh, they're actually saying line for line, I did not build it to scale. And then some positive affirmation. No, it looks really good. You know, like, this is exactly Back to the Future. And I just love that being the case.
I think for me it was my favorite episode of Loki so far. I think the effects in it were really, really good. I thought every character was given something meaningful to do, which is hard to pull off with an ensemble cast that large. Even Casey, who often is used as a kind of
Comic relief,
yeah,
in a way.
I think the one thing that it does appear to me, they've gotten every actor on that show to buy in, because Eugene Cordero will do background acting. He does the whole sequence where he's carrying the temporal, whatever that thing is called, the cannon, the
throughput.
the throughput. Yes, that exactly. He's just carrying it in the background down to where it needs to be, and it's like he's moving with urgency. He's not even really in focus, but it's like you recognize. It's the way Mad Men pulled this off, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Mad Men would have episodes where John Slattery didn't have lines, and he would just be walking around in the background sternly, like talking to people, and you're like, oh, this guy's all in on like, make this world that they're building.
You made a great point, though. Not only did they tie up questions that we had from episode 1, and we're seeing sort of like this vortex in play, but other characters like B-15 has gone through so much. X5, we're really getting an understanding of his motives in this as well. Dox's brilliant sort of like defiance of betrayal so she can die with honor. Like, all of this was such a great episode. There was so much happening.
Is this like the most violent thing to happen in
There was
Marvel?
some horrific deaths in this episode.
I mean, look,
guys.
the Wanda killing everyone
Yeah.
in that montage in Multiverse of Madness is pretty violent on screen. But I just think like the
Getting
concept,
cubed.
getting cubed, all
Yeah.
smushed together, and like we pointed out, that's why there's a grate in the floor, guys. It's so that the viscera can ooze down into
That's
the
where
drain.
the slime goes.
That's the
And underneath it is a greedy little Tom Bechtold variant.
So a lot happened in this episode. Let's do a quick episode recap without the claw hands and
Let him cook, Maude. Let him cook.
Until I'm full.
what's that variant's name?
Bomb Bechtold. Yum Bechtold.
There it is.
Nom nom nom.
Nom
Nom,
nom. Yummy Bechtold. Yummy Slime Told.
Feed me variants. I love it. Okay, cool. So we open traveling through the fractured sacred timeline until we come to the crumbling citadel at the end of time. Ms. Minutes shows Ravonna her past and the conversation Loki heard in the recording in episode 1. Beautiful writing there. Ravonna's dressed like a hunter and she says,
The TVA awaits our commands.
"Oh, as a unified
The royal
force." And he who remains tells her he'll follow right behind her.
Classic bad guy move.
I'll be there in 1 second.
You
One
guys go
moment.
right ahead.
Yeah, I know this. I need to have a thought before telling Ms. Minutes to wipe her memory along with the memories of everyone in the TVA. Now, this isn't the first time he's done that. By the sounds of all of this, there's so much more depth behind Ravonna's character than we even thought. Her starting off as a hunter makes sense because there's like a natural progression of order there. But anyway, doesn't quite yet solidify my theory that Ravonna is a
I think it's still
variant.
possible.
I think we've moved closer.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Oh, Maude's minutes. Anyway, Timely arrives in the TVA and gets to see everything that he built or technically will build. That is a complicated thing to try to wrap your head around if you are Mr. Timely.
Yes.
Loki and friends convince Timely to help them fix the loom. Meanwhile, B-15 wheels Judge Gamble through the TVA and we learn that Dox is alive and in a TVA holding cell with some of the other insurgents. Gamble recommends B-15 just, convince Dox that this is the new TVA and it is worth saving. Yeah, that's gonna work.
That sounds like
Yeah.
a sound plan. Timely meets OB and they fangirl over each other.
That
It
is
was so
cute.
cute.
So great.
But I love that it's almost like a snake eating its tail. It's like
That's
that is literally
right.
what an Ouroboros is.
Right, and that's how we learned that he got his name, you guys. Who came first, OB or Timely? Timely or OB? Did they come at the same time? That's always nice.
What was OB's original life? Pre-variant, like when he was not in the TVA.
I don't think he was. I think he was made by He Who Remains. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think OB is either an android or a Kang variant himself. OB explains that someone needs to launch a multiplier at the loom to scale its capacity. Science, you guys. I feel smarter when I just read the closed captions of these episodes. Do I know what any of it means? No. Temporal? I thought that meant temperature. It turns out it's time related.
Temporal though, right?
Temporal.
I remember
But
I
you know
said
what?
central.
Every time Owen Wilson says temporal, like shrimp tempura. So I
Yeah.
think it's okay to say it either way.
I say temporal.
Totally fine.
Nuclear. We learned that Mobius doesn't want to check in on himself on the timeline and would rather eat pie, which honestly I can relate to. Whoever
to the-
wrote that's a real dick.
Cut to the shirt. Cut to the shirt.
Look, it's a pie season.
I mean, it was designed before the episodes even came out. I'm just saying that's the level of brilliance.
Yum! I love pie, any flavor at all. Key lime, pumpkin, your mom. In the interrogation room, X5 tries to rally the troops before Ravonna time doors in and literally squishes all of these insurgents to death.
Would you like one lump or two in your coffee?
I'd like to take my Minutemen liquefied. X5 sides with Ravonna to get his life back on the timeline. This is what fame does to you. It changes people. Okay? Listen, you may think you want to be famous, but in the end, you're just pruning your general mommy, or you're making her get squeezed into a box that juices her. Don't juice your mommy, guys. Hey, if I ask you to do one thing this fall, stop juicing your mommies. X5, I'm looking at you, Bradley. Miss Minutes enjoys this way too much. She really is.
She
Miss
was
Minutes
salivating.
is good.
Yeah,
She's like, yeah.
I think we're actually getting more and more insight into Ms. Minutes. I mean, the fact that she was thirsty the last episode and now she's like really indulging in torture.
Yeah.
What is going on with her programming?
Yeah, I think Miss Minutes is shaping up to be the villain of the season,
Holy.
especially now that Victor Timely is off the chessboard. I think Miss Minutes is going to be the big
And
bad.
I think, Eric, was it last episode you were talking about Ms. Minutes and Ravonna potentially being two sides of the same mind? This to me is like Ravonna is like pragmatically evil. Like she doesn't mind. She sees in her mind the necessity.
She's lawful evil.
Yes, exactly. And Ms. Minutes is chaotic evil,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
she's sitting there literally going like, I think that to me kind of was more to your point last week of like, are these people like they even kind of like mirror each other in that scene when they're both looking and they're both watching it happen. Like Brad Wolf is like, maybe I could use this for a role, this pain that I'm feeling now over juicing my mama. But like the rest of like Renslayer and Ms. Minutes are just like, good. This is what should happen.
No. Renslayer was like, I didn't want to have to do it, but it was necessary.
Yeah.
And Ms. Minutes is like, oh my goodness.
We should juice more people.
Who else can we juice?
Can we just start juicing animals after this?
She does look like an orange from like a 1950s
She does.
orange juice commercial.
She looks delicious, and quite frankly, those are gears I'd love to grind. Loki starts making the case to Sylvie that maybe they should run the TVA, punctuating the conversation with,
We are gods.
I am a god!
We forget that a little bit in this show.
Well, because they
Loki's got
dampen their
such-
powers.
That's it, yeah. Oh my gosh, when they say we have to lift that, and they're like, yes! I got so excited to see them in full force again.
I would have been awesome if he just bounced.
Yeah.
If like they're like, we have to undampen their powers, he's like, oh yeah, I didn't want to do this.
No,
good.
Loki's so invested in this. He actually now sees himself.
But is he? Can you ever trust a Loki?
Well, this is what I'm thinking, that it's like Sylvie and Loki, they're at their best when they trust each other and work together. And that's something that Kang hasn't quite figured out with his team, his ensemble. He keeps choosing to be the solo person in charge.
You know what I always say? Loki, artichokey, loves to laugh, loves to trick, and loves to jokey. Eric,
You have said
take
that
us
9
down.
times.
Well, so what happens next in the episode is Victor Timely retrofits some temporal doohickey onto some of OB's tech and then becomes enthralled with the idea of hot cocoa coming out of a machine.
Yeah.
The 1800s, a simpler time. This is really what you could say is his tragic flaw of this episode. It really just completely derails him.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, from Kiwi Kwan's movie, The Goonies, it's what ice cream was to Chunk.
Yes.
Or Baby Ruth was to Chunk.
But I also, okay, this is me kind of like stepping out of the episode sometimes. Like, he only lived in the 19th century, but he had no problems picking up a pen, clicking it on to sign the book.
He also he had zero issue with Miss Minutes being real. He was like, Miss Minutes is like emerges as a real being, and he's just like, this fine.
Makes absolute sense.
This
I have
is
no
fine.
question.
Well, maybe it's because this guy lives on the pages of this
Yeah,
book, where
that's
two-dimensional drawings are
Yeah.
really the way he sees the
No,
world.
you're
So
right.
he's okay with that.
And also, he probably has seen the designs for Miss Minutes or references to Miss Minutes, so maybe he's just like,
Yeah.
okay, this was promised in my future book that was left in my window.
I think it's all Back to the Future Zemeckis stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Like, so Zemeckis in Back to the Future, where like Doc Brown sees the video machine, like the video camera, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Wow, of course, your entire future exists on television. No wonder why your president has to be an actor." Like, I think that's the way he's looking at it right now.
Yes.
But also, I think we're gonna see a Zemeckis Who Framed Roger Rabbit touch point in this season. I think we're gonna see more characters interacting with cartoon characters, fighting with them. I mean, why do you cast Ke Huy Quan other than just being a delightful actor? The guy knows how to do stunts.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
we have not seen Kiwi Kwan reach his final form on the
Right,
show.
yeah.
I think he's gonna get, if Miss Minutes is our villain, Kiwi Kwan's gonna be our hero.
I
I
love
think
that.
he is a saint. I think he was there before the TVA started. I think he's the original He Who Remains, and I think he's gonna be the champion at the end of it, fighting hand to hand, awesome combat with Miss Minutes.
I
That's
actually
my-
think that's incredible. Ouroboros, he literally was at the start and the finish. He's always
Yeah.
been there. He was the original one, but then his mind got wiped, and he's now been a piece on the chessboard. And that's great.
He remains. He's
That's
yeah.
great.
So D90 shares some hot cocoa with Timely, who is pruned by X5.
Now, I want to take a moment because you were championing D90 this whole time, and you
know.
thought that he should have been in the spotlight instead of X5 as Bradley. So when I saw him on screen, I was like, Eric, you sly son of a gun. I think he's got his moment.
I think he had his moment here. Neil Elise, such a nice guy. Ran into him in a park in LA one time. Really, really nice dude. But he, the fact that he's been pruned, we see a difference in the TVA right now between killing, which is what they do like on that terrifying time cube.
When they juice you.
When they
juice
juice
after
that,
thing
it means
now.
you're gone. But when they prune you, you just go to the void. So I think Renslayer's going to show up in the void. I think
Juice
D90's
me,
gonna be in the void.
Bradley! Juice me. You know you want to. Because I made all those people fly on Game of Thrones. That's my Kate Dickie impression.
Oh, it's good.
Thank you.
The juice is loose. So after D90 gets pruned, Miss Minutes plays defense in Jurassic Park. Everyone on their computers. X5 takes Timely to Ravonna to continue the interrogation.
And then you've got Loki and Sylvie They get separated while looking for Timely as the loom continues to destabilize. We do a full loop back to episode 1 as current timeline Loki finds past timeline Loki, the one that slipped into the future.
Back in episode 1.
Yeah. And then prunes himself to save his life. The green button went off, and he's like, "Ooh, it's gonna happen."
I like that he just instinctively gets it. He's like, I gotta close the bootstrap paradox, the grandfather. Like, I just have to complete my own destiny, otherwise I won't get to where I am right now.
All very
So great.
time travel logic. It's
Worked
all
for me.
happening. Yeah, no
makes
questions.
sense.
Obi is the one that was on the phone after all that.
Yeah.
Hello, hurry up.
Which is played as a joke, but again, I think it underlies the greater importance of Obi as the one who remains as the most important hero this season
I agree.
of Loki.
Well, did he always have a phone in his office, and that's how he knew how to punch a few beep beep beep?
It seems like there's like just kind of like phones everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like line 12, line.
You know,
SS1.
a lot of businesses still are phasing out their interconference phone systems where they can just call. You know, they can use them almost as walkie-talkies. Now in our cell phone era, that becomes less important. But I think it's nice that the TVA is a
They're right.
throwback to those times.
I do too. I like this.
Movies and TV were better where people had landlines and smartphones weren't invented yet.
Yeah, you're
Hot
exactly
take,
right.
hot take. As soon as smartphones had to be in movies and TV shows, all of movies and TV shows got worse.
Plot holes were no longer a thing, or they tripled. Hey, anyway, Loki alerts Obi that Ms. Minutes is hijacking the system and suggests rebooting the entire system to both shut down Ms. Minutes and her takeover, and to also allow the Lokis to use their magic again. Well, that just happened to be a byproduct that both Sylvie and Loki were not opposed
Yeah.
to at all.
Of course not. They were just like, do it!
Yeah.
I really
That's
want to
awesome.
see them have magic again, because we saw it a little bit in the last episode. The illusionist magic. I just want more of it. I want
Me
them to
too.
be gods again.
Me
you know,
too.
they're powerful.
It's called Loki, not low key.
As Ms. Minutes begins to reboot, she says, "Victor, I need to tell you. And then she says,
You'll never be him.
before going offline.
Isn't it interesting? It's like Loki telling Thanos you'll never be a guy.
Yeah.
But his final words. In Sacred
And then she
Timeline.
turns into like she gets more and more
Analog.
Analog, exactly, until she's literally just like the digital watch face.
Yeah.
The time is
X5 is enchanted, who then prunes Ravonna, while Loki and Sylvie bring Timely back to the time loom. Now, Timely uses his aura to unlock the blast doors, and we're ready to solve all of our problems, baby.
But the time loom ain't looking so hot. Loki volunteers to put on the suit, but Timely, who is literally just a human man, interjects and volunteers himself. And we're so excited to see him step into this role. But I don't know about you guys. I was like, oh God, please, 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 please liquefy this person. And we see it. The spaghettification in full effect. It's so glorious. The episode ends with an all is lost moment. The loom seems to collapse and rip apart. A wall of temporal radiation comes at them, and someone needs to set the Miss Minutes doomsday clock to midnight, because we are at threat level midnight.
We've seen an end of the world event already here on Lamentus, where you know the planet's crashing in, the temp pad doesn't work, there's no hope in sight, and then a door opens. But the fact that the system's offline, they cannot use any temp pads in this instance. This is the TVA.
This is everything we know that's outside of the sacred timeline, right? Okay, so we got to talk about what comes next. How do they move on to episode 5 from here? Where will episode 5 and episode 6 go? We'll start with the question of Victor Timely. Is this the end of Victor Timely? Will a new Kang variant step up to take his place? And am I reading into this too much to speculate that this might have been a move to justify possible recasting of Kang in a future MCU title?
It supports my theory of variants all looking different, and the fact that yes, we've established Jonathan Majors, as Kang, but Ravonna being a variant. Let's make it happen. She was there all along. I think that this is a great way to distance from Jonathan Majors, as well as continuing the storyline. I think that having a Victor was great, but now that it's taken care of and he was a key component, it wasn't necessarily Victor that they needed, they just needed a variant. And he was the most like a supplicant variant, you know, so that they could mold him to do thy bidding. If Ravonna's mind opens and she gets all of her memories back, I think that's how episode 5 and 6.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point we are detached from any one set. And if you look at like trailer footage that still has not been shown yet in episodes, Loki's not done time slipping. There's a whole, there's several different locations. He's going to time slip to the jet ski parking lot. I think we're now going to see Loki detached from all of time and space and just time slipping. We're going to see an episode where he goes back, retraces his steps to the Citadel at the end of time, through Loki season 1, maybe through the Renaissance Fair, back to Lamentis, back to the Void, back to doubling back. If we're talking about Back to the Future this episode, we could see a Back to the Future Part 2 where we have like multiple Lokis, like 3 Lokis in the same place at the same time.
Wow.
Like we're gonna see a whole time slipping episode, I think.
Will we see an old man Loki?
I hope so. Where he's just driving across country with a young girl, Sylvie, played by Judith from Walking Dead.
Yes.
And they're both like in a truck, and he's got a long grizzly beard.
We technically did see an old man Loki.
Oh, yeah, classic Loki. Get
Yeah.
Richard E. Grant back.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
We could see, I want all those guys to come back. Like, I think this could be a really exciting episode. Now, when we first saw the first episodes of the season, I was like, okay, no shit, they're not going to recast Jonathan Majors for Loki season 2. And that would be way premature. Also, his face is everywhere on this show. It would be impossible to do that.
Right.
But now it kind of feels like, look, as of this taping, jury's still out on the whole Jonathan Majors drama. We're not going to talk about that here. We're not lawyers. This is not court TV. We're not Nancy Grace, unfortunately, because that would make this way more exciting. But I think the character of Kang, in the pages of Marvel Comics, with the exception of the Mike Del Mundo, Mark Waid run from 2017, it's not that exciting of a character. They took a bunch of other time-traveling characters and merged them into one in the 90s. And Victor Timely, I think, was meant to be short-lived. I'm glad that they killed off Victor Timely
Would
because...
you say his appearance was timely? And that his end was also quite
how timely. I'm glad that they didn't try to stretch him out more than just
they
a
stretched
strand.
him out. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Just a strand of himself. I think his run on the show is exactly how long Victor Timely should run. I like the idea, if you're going to have a whole Kang dynasty, and if Loki established the rules, and if Spider-Man No Way Home established the rules that different actors can play this, why not use an opportunity to hire 7 different amazing actors and give them great roles, and not put all of the weight of the world of a franchise, of the biggest franchise, on one actor's shoulders. Like, that way you can kind of like have one person do this take on it, one person do that take on it, and then we get to see a whole team of people, 12 angry men in a room who get to each bring something different to the role.
But it also then fleshes out the fact that there are so many variants in different timelines that have been blossoming, and there is such chaos when it comes to this. You know, so each single timeline is something different. And we've seen this before with the different Lokis at the end of time. Like, everyone looked vastly different.
Yeah.
Right.
So there is so much sort of like creative excitement there to be able to do exactly that without bending on the rules, or without us being like, now, wait a damn minute.
Well, allow me to noodle on this a little further with a saucy take.
That just makes me hungry.
I don't think this is the end of Jonathan Majors as Kang. I think Victor Timely is dead. I think there was an interview with one of the head writers on this show, where they said that this was one of the first, or if not only, Marvel projects that had no reshoots.
Okay.
So all of this, that doesn't mean they can't do an effect in post. Obviously, all special effects are done in post to liquefy him. So I have a feeling we'll get another Kang played by Jonathan Majors before episode 6 credits roll. I also have a theory that we're going to see those Lokis again, but I don't want to say it yet, because I think this theory is actually one that is so out there, it's going to make you guys turn into spaghetti.
Well, Ravonna is where
That's
the
right.
other Lokis
And we'll
are.
be talking about that soon, but first I want to talk about another Loki in the Void that means a lot to me. Alligator Loki.
Yay.
As part of our Later Gator Loki collection, go to nerdriot.shop and cop yourself a Loki shirt. We've got latest and greatest new Rockstars gear over at nerdriot.shop. Right now you can check out our new line of merch inspired by the trickster himself, Loki, including the shirt Erik is wearing, this phenomenal shirt. Look on the back. It's straight out of Myrtle Beach, guys. Look, you can act like you're down at Mother Fletcher's sipping a rum runner when you're 17 because you borrowed some guy named Pat Flynn's ID.
That's too specific. That's too specific.
Prove it in court. Support the channel and check our great merch options over at nerdriot.shop. When in doubt, cause a riot. And don't forget to subscribe to all 3 channels in the New Rockstars network. New Rockstars, The Deep Dive, and of course, us here at the Breakroom. Back to the questions.
Can't wait. All right, the question is, what did Ms. Minutes need to tell Timely? And what did she mean by "you'll never be him"?
I think the idea is that what we were talking about last week, that when He Who Remains expired, he had this contingency plan set in place with Miss Minutes to go find a specific variant that was completely separate from the 31st century, go as far back as someone who kind of aligns with the personality and technologist profile that fits what the 31st century engineer was. And they found someone in 1868. So what he hoped was that, hey, maybe my successor could be someone who is completely separate from the wars of the future, from the multiversal war, and then maybe that will close the loop of TVA history and then fix the problems with it. I think he probably has at least a dozen different contingencies that we just aren't seeing right now. Like, what other periods of history, maybe the Da Vinci period, there's a lot of ingenuity happening during the Renaissance.
Sure.
Maybe we could see like an Italian Renaissance version of Kang.
The Enlightenment.
Maybe that's how we got Pharaoh Rama-Tut. They went back to the Egyptian age when they were maybe it ends with the burning of the Library of Alexandria. We did see the lighthouse of Pharos of Alexandria pruned in the void, so maybe there could be some Egyptian history, and that's how he had Pharaoh Rama-Tut. He tried to inspire all these other caches of Kangs throughout history, and then so Renslayer was saying, this contingency ain't gonna work. Victor Timely didn't work. We need to find someone who is bloodthirsty enough, who had that kind of that violent spirit.
Yeah, and I mean, in essence, He Who Remains was, as we said, he's kind of impish. He's a little, he's a little theatrical. He's still brutal because he's willing to erase the minds of human beings, right? Like, he's willing to wipe the memories of people, not only close to him, but other people who trust him as their leader, right? Like, he has no problem having Ms. Minutes take their memories away. That manipulation itself is its own form of brutality, maybe not physically violent, but certainly mentally abusive.
He does what he takes to stay in control, and it is a big control thing. But I think we're missing the big picture here, and that is that Ms. Minutes likes bad boys.
Yes.
Yeah,
why
does.
do good good gears like bad boys?
Look, another question. Ravona has been pruned.
Oh, yes, this is where my good theory's coming in. Please ask the question.
Will episode 5 follow season 1 and maybe be a Ravona in the Void episode with some flashbacks to her and He Who Remains' previous relationship? What's your theory, Tommy?
Yes, okay. Episode 5 will involve Ravona in the Void with the Lokis we met in episode 5. End of 4, beginning of 5 of season 1. And here's why. We've all been speculating Ravona could perhaps be a Kang variant. But what if Ravona is a Loki, huh? What if she's the Loki who is all business but doesn't mind trickery? She loves to trick. She tried to trick Sylvie at the end of season 1, trying to convince her that she was on her side and going to help her. She won't tell Sylvie her Nexus event. What if Sylvie's Nexus event is discovering Ravona is a Loki, and then Ravona had her pruned? And Sylvie is actually one of the only innocent variants who didn't do anything innocent in TVA standards, is one of the few innocent people who just got pruned because they saw the wrong thing at the wrong time, thus establishing Ravona Renslayer as the most evil Loki, the most criminal Loki, the most diabolical Loki, the Loki who remains.
Wow. Okay. I did not see that coming, so well done.
Did not see it coming. That is a hot take. That is a hot take.
That's the type of shit that gets me off the internet.
Yeah.
I'm going to be banned for life for that take.
I don't know. That's quite exhilarating.
All right. Well, feel free to use it in your personal lives.
I think we will get a good Ravona episode coming up in the Void. I think that definitely we're gonna see like Ravona in the Void while Loki just time slips through all of time and space.
Agree. I think we're gonna get her backstory, and I think we're gonna find out her memories when she does.
Yeah. Agreed. I think we're gonna finally see what Mobius's backstory was. And a question I have for you guys, there was that hint in episode 2 where like X5 was like, "Did you have anyone for Mobius?" And Mobius seemed to be like really personal about it. I don't think he forgot. Do you think he forgot what his history was? He just doesn't want to see it. Okay, but I think we're gonna learn that Mobius had a partner.
Yeah.
Or a kid.
Yeah.
Or like a spouse or a kid. And that's someone that he wasn't alone on that jet ski. He had someone in front of him that he was reaching around to ride that jet ski. I think that's...
But why is he running away from that so hard? He's choosing to stay ignorant about
Maybe there was a jet ski accident.
Okay.
Or maybe, that person broke his heart. Maybe the kid grew up and then said, "I'm going to Dartmouth, Dad."
I hate jet skis. I like snowmobiles. No son of mine will snowmobile. Water is better. Snow is better.
This episode also saw the goodbye of General Dox, Kate Dickie, who was so great. I'm glad we got to see her for another episode.
Juice me, Bradley! Juice me till all my juices are gone. And I'm just a dry bone powder.
That's not a quote.
What is Hollywood's beef with Kate Dickie? Why do they just keep putting her in these small roles? Like, after she had played Lady Aaron, Liza Aaron on Game of Thrones, had an interesting arc, they just put her as like a small one-liner role in The Last Jedi. Like, she's great. She could be like the lead on she was in The Witch, that Robert Eggers movie, The Witch. She's so good, and they keep like doing her dirty on these shows. I could have seen more Kate Dickie, more General Dox.
I mean, I understand why X5 had to betray, because like his backstory is like he wants that fame, he wants to go back to the life. He's like choosing to go all in on his previous variant life.
He's selfish.
100%, which is why he did that. But I really liked the fact that Dox knows their torture method. She knows about the box, and I really thought it was an empowering moment where she's like, I would rather die than go along with you. And the fact that everyone else in solidarity was backing her to their death. And it kind of made the earlier episode make more sense. She truly did what she believed was the right thing, and she's going to die, continue to believe that. And I did like the moment. You're right. It would have been great to have a few more episodes there, you know? It'd be great to have like B-15 have a few more allies instead of suffering through this alone a lot of the time.
Yeah. I mean, how more interesting would it be? I might just be bullshitting right now. What if Kate Dickie was the general who realized she had a life as a stage actress or a movie actress in London? I think that'd be more fascinating. And then she had to make the choice to betray her son, who is this kind of aggro lieutenant who wanted to bomb the sacred time. Just swap X5 and General Dox on the show.
Okay.
I would just have more fun hanging out with Kate Dickie episode after episode. Like, you know, she can do it. She's a versatile actress, and she just keeps being put in these like bombastic, like, my son.
Actually, in this particular one, your suggestion would again make her the asshole character, where you're like, oh, stop playing someone who's so evil. I really liked the integrity that she had with this character.
She was great. I mean, I want to see her in more stuff. I think she's incredible. Pour one out for Kate Dickie. I think she's amazing. Hey,
pour one out for the dicks, bro. That's what I call her. She likes to be called the dicks.
We'll leave it for this episode of Inside Marvel. Reminder to subscribe to all 3 channels on the New Rockstars Network. You can follow Maude at Maude Garrett. You can follow Tommy at Fill In.
Yes, I am at Fill In. Phil Collins. All right, you can follow me at Tommy's Bechtold. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.